most sources that I look at say that people with schizoid personality disorder have no trouble working. If they're on their own, they function fairly well. That hasn't been the case for me. There's the problem of motivation I've talked about before. But I think I know why people talk about being taken out of yourself by your work, and you're concentrating on something outside yourself. But for me that's a problem, because I've often thought that that experience of being taken out of yourself is like being dead. When I was in my teens and early 20s, I didn't like sleeping because it was like being dead. I don't worry about that so much now. But I still feel the same about working. It's like when you are concentrating on something outside yourself, you're not actually there. You disappear. Your consciousness goes. And in a way it's the same as being dead but aware of it, and that's what it feels like. And I think that's what I dread so much about work. I remember when I had jobs, I would dread going, but didn't really understand why. Although I had thought about this idea of working like being dead, being like being dead. It's something I've never been able to shake. I've only come across, I think, 2 or even just 1 source of information about schizoids who have trouble working, and that was a video on YouTube, and it said that people who've experienced more than one kind of abuse, so physical abuse and emotional abuse, say, they can often have trouble working. And people often think that it's about getting used to it, just building up. It may be, but there is no provision for that. You're expected to go straight into full-time work, which sounds like a reasonable expectation, and I suppose it is for most people. But I've found that I have not been able to do that. I've had such an aversion to work since my previous experiences of work that I would even though I expect to end up homeless or without money or anything, or things like that, I still can't bring myself to get a job. And it's not about qualifications. I previously worked as a programmer and in another IT job, and I have other qualifications where I could get perfectly acceptable and just, fairly decently paid jobs. Although that would involve working with other people. I suppose I could do programming online, but I've tried that, and I'm not motivated, and I don't like interacting with people at all. Not even like through gig work, online gig work. Such as like on Fiverr, Previously I tried to do gig work involving image processing, and I got, I think, one or two gigs, but I found it so stressful in dealing with people that it just didn't seem worth the effort, and it made so little money. And I have been through periods where I've had no income at all. Back in 2012, I was on this thing called the work program, and you had to go for 6 months. I think you had one half-hour appointment every 2 weeks or something. But in the end, because one of the staff there was a bully, and I take issue with bullies, and I argued with her, and of course I think she was probably goading people. She goaded me, so I think she liked stopping people's money. She's one of those, and she did. Got my, of course she denied it was her. She thought it's the job centre that makes this decision, but of course she tells the job centre to make the decision or recommend something. And so I got my money stopped for 3 months. Fortunately, because I have been good with money in the past, I'd saved up something like £900, and at the time I was sanctioned, as they call it. My money stopped. I had another 100 as well. I just received my benefit payments, job seekers allowance as it was then. So I had £1,000, and I made that last 7 months. And then I got some money from a relative who didn't know my situation, but he was going to give me some money anyway. So I got that, and that lasted another few months. So after a year, though, I ran out of money in total. A year after I was first sanctioned. I mean, the point is that because they kept sanctioning me, because I didn't go through this work program. I just stopped, and so they kept sanctioning me. So I got 4 3-month sanctions. But eventually I went back, and they didn't pay me any money during that time. But I still had to go to this work program. You're still expected to do all that, all the same stuff. Otherwise, they wouldn't restart your money at all. And I got into another argument with this woman. It was unfortunately still there. And then they stopped my claim altogether, so I couldn't get any money or housing benefit or anything. I mean, all I did was reapply, and I got the money. But I decided I would try to start a business then. And so I applied for a completely different benefit called New Enterprise Allowance. And that gives you slightly less money than Job Seekers Allowance. But you're expected to start a business and make a living. For 3 months, I think you got £65 a week. And then for the next 3 months, it was like 33. And I did that, but I made very little money. That was when I did the gig work. And I was also trying to do internet marketing, but building websites and things like that. But it didn't work out because I have trouble applying myself. I think I built 2 websites, I think it was. And you get paid by taking adverts and doing writing about specialist niche subjects. I got some good ideas, and I could have made some money out of it according to my research suggested that I would make money, but I couldn't apply myself to it, and so eventually I had to stop that. After a while, before then I was surviving on tax credits, because I went for, I think, 3 years trying to run this business. Yeah, and they paid me tax credits, something like £55 a week, just to keep me going. I also got housing benefits, so I didn't lose my flat. And then I eventually, my tax credits were eventually stopped because they thought I didn't need it. I think they weren't happy with my progress on the business, so my tax credits were stopped. They're not paid by the job centre, they're paid by HMRC, tax people, what used to be the Inland Revenue. And so I had no income at all. I didn't even, the council, who at that time, they were the people who paid housing benefit. Because I had no income, they demanded that they decided that I had to pay the council, and I had to pay my rent myself, but I had no income, so I couldn't. But also, the council at the same time demanded that I pay full rate of council tax. That was when I had no income, so I was effectively paying tax at an infinite rate. Eventually, after 3 years of trying to run this business, I just gave up and applied for unemployment benefits again. But by then it was called Universal Credit, and it was a completely different system. And you're expected to apply for work for 35 hours a week, or look for work for 35 hours a week. So essentially you do need internet access, which I didn't have previously. The way I managed my money was that if I couldn't afford something, I wouldn't pay for it, so I stopped having a mobile phone, I stopped having internet access, and that saved me a huge amount of money. And eventually but on Universal Credit you have to, I did try going to the library, but I didn't have it. That wasn't you don't get enough time on the computers. So I had to buy a computer, which I did somehow, and a cheap one. It was a used machine that you can get £99, I think it was. No, this one was 200. Internet is quite expensive if you've got a poor credit rating, which I have, and my debts have built up because of that time when I had no income, and I've never got back in credit. A few years ago I was. It's when I've tried to advance myself, when I've tried to stretch myself, that things have gone wrong financially. Because eventually, even when I've got ahead, when I was working, I got ahead. I was making not particularly good money, but money as a programmer, and it was enough to live on. But because I couldn't stand it, in fact, the IT. When I was working, I was making enough money to live on, but I didn't. But because I found it so difficult to work, I found it so stressful that to be with people all day, I ended up leaving a job. And of course then that meant that, well, I had to wait 6 weeks before I was eligible for benefits because I left the job. So that built up debts on my credit card. And then I got into all sorts of bad debt just through living expenses. And that was a long time ago though. Since then I've managed to get back into credit, but I think the last time I was doing okay was about 5 years ago, I think. But since then things have just gone from bad to worse, and now I have nothing. I live from month to month, and try to spend as little as possible. I certainly don't have enough to cover all my expenses, such as water bills, electricity bills, all that sort of thing. My computers are all old. I haven't bought a new computer in 18 years. And they've either been given to me or I've bought a very cheap one, a used one. The one I've got now, it's okay, 200 quid, but not brilliant. It's fine for my purposes. And because I can't work because of the effects I've described, I'll probably never be able to afford a decent standard of living again. I'm probably stuck like this for the rest of my life. This is in fact, I think things are probably going to get worse, because I don't know how I'm going to correct from here, because financially you do need to I don't know, the potential needs to be there to get back into credit, but I can't, because just don't have enough money to cover the expenses. Even there are special schemes where you can have part of your water bill paid off and this kind of thing. But even that won't be enough. And I have to upload videos at a low resolution and low frame rate, just to save on my data allowance. 7 gigabytes a month I get. I'll leave it there.